Hey, good late Tuesday evening to you guys. How are you? It's good to see you, and it's good to be seen by you. I am Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. If you're new here, you don't know what it is that we do here. Well, I try and live stream 5 nights a week. We talk about classic tabletop RPG stuff. We talk about news and views and all kinds of fun little topics that we like to enjoy around here. And usually, once we're outside of the golden glow of Christmas, things are fairly normal. We have live let's plays of vintage tabletop role playing games, and we talk about cool classic TTRPG things. But this being close to the most wonderful time of the year, indeed, it is the most wonderful time of the year. Uh, things get a little sketchy, get a little disrupted. Um, so yeah, stuff kind of shifts around a little bit around the holidays because it's a time of family, and I've got two major birthdays right here in the Delver's Dungeon that happen right at the start of December. So I've got to take those into account, and then, of course, on the backside of that, there's Thanksgiving, and then there's Christmas staring me in the face, and then New Year's after that. So, of course, they just go wild and weird and you know, all kinds of crazy. So the craziness landed in an exactly perfect spot because last week we wrapped up Dungeon Module B2, the Keep on the Borderlands. And I'm going to talk to the other players in the weekly game about what they want to do next. And of course, you guys, your input is definitely heard on that matter as well. But it is an actual AD&D group. This isn't a cast, So what the players decide to do may guide us. But I will certainly, as the DM, give them some options as to, where in the world of Greyhawk they could possibly go next. So we'll just have to see how that works out. Good evening, Deadly Dungeon Master. George Laconia. Kabuki, hi, how are you? I'm not afraid of that Minotaur. I got a map to this place. Never you fear. But anyway, unregistered hypercam. Insert name here. Robert Phillips. Road March. Bon. Everyone out there in TV land, welcome. And of course, this live stream is brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Hellebarde makes the kind of adventures they'd like to play, whether it is for Castles and Crusades, for 5th edition, or for the old school. OSR is in play at the table with Hellebarde Games, and you can find them on DriveThruRPG or on their website, hellebardegames.com. And something else you can do if you're new to us and you're like, I really like your content. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below and let us know what you think. And if you'd like to support us a little bit more, a little bit differently to broaden your support and help keep this show going and running for as little as $1 a month on Patreon, as indicated down below, scrolling across, or for $2 a month on YouTube memberships. That's YouTube's doing, not mine. And it's either over here or over here. You can become a YouTube member. And at the $10 level, whether it's on Patreon or it's on YouTube, every month you'll receive a free mini first edition AD&D adventure module written by myself, or if somebody else steps up. And that is at the Master Thief level, $10 level. So you might want to do that. You might want to do that. But anyway, so what are we doing tonight? We're going to talk about fun stuff because it's the holidays. Gosh darn it. I hope you have been following the Christmas Dice Advent calendar that I've been doing. Once again this year, my wife has purchased me a Dudragao Advent calendar full of dice, and I've been showing those there. Just short little videos. You can get all caught up in about 10 minutes on all the cool dice that we're getting. We got an absolutely gorgeous D20 that matches the absolutely gorgeous D8 we got the other day. It's all deep green and sparkly and has silver numbers on it, and I love it to pieces. And it is really, really nice. And we've got interstitial videos. We've got we've got little RPG news. Hang on a second. Let me see something here. Windows is trying to update, and I need to stop it from doing that. Let's see. Let's schedule the restart. Oh, pick a time. Let's do it then. All right, sorry about that, guys. Windows was getting ready to reboot itself, and I don't want it to. And alas, my PC doesn't meet the requirements for Windows 11. Good. I don't need more Microsoft telemetry up my hindquarters. Neither do you. Am I going to mix any Arduino into my games? Probably not. I appreciate Arduino for its absolute bizarre weirdness, but like 10th level magic user spells and monsters with hundreds of hit dice and percent liar for stuff. I'm just like, put the bong down, Dave. It's a little too wacky. I can appreciate it for what it is, but I have to tell you something. Even with my spiffy reading glasses, the type in those ancient books is hard to see. I mean, people that complain about the small typeface in AD&D books, yeah, go track them down some Arduino. This stuff is hard to read with my reading glasses on. I mean, dear Lord. But I will say that there is a fair amount of Errol Otis art in here, I believe. I could be wrong about that. Uh, 5-point font, yeah. I think it could be like as small as a 2-point font. Yeah, this stuff is nigh impossible to read. So unless you guys want to see me have an aneurysm on screen, not through anger or anything, just from the fact that I'm squinting so hard trying to read these books. But that's not to say we won't ever do like a deep dive on it. Hargrave made the case that, yeah, and I've harped on this before. There was briefly in vintage Dungeons and Dragons circles, and I blame one person for it. I'm not going to call that person out because I'm not in the mood to call people out. But he did a couple of things that I think he knew would generate controversy and get people looking his way. So hats off to you, my friend. Well done. Well played. You got people looking at you. But he's the guy that wrote the Carcosa booklet and then started calling it Dungeons and Dragons Supplement 7, Supplement 6, or whatever, Carcosa. And had the thing printed up, made it look like an AD&D booklet and everything. Like, oh, here, use this. And it was... It was, ugh. But I remember, it's like he frequented Dragon's Foot a lot, and like he made the claim that all healing magic could be removed or should be removed. Like by the book, all magical effects can be removed by dispel magic, any magical effect. So, you drank a potion of healing, that's magical healing. You get hit with a dispel magic 5 years later, those 1 to 8 hit points you got healed are gone. You better keep track of how many they were. Yeah, this was the guy's mindset, But the quite frankly disgusting crap he published under the Carcosa Impressum, nothing that he wrote should, in retrospect, surprise or shock me, but whatever. James Seymour, that brings up a D&D question. Do I roll first level hit points? No, I roll. Absolutely, I roll. You could wind up with, fighter with all these great stats, 1899 strength, but let's say he's only got a Madeline Kahn, not Madeline Kahn, who was lovely, So you got to roll your hit points. 3. Oh, that's not great. All right. Zappo, the magic user. Zappo's got a 17 and an 18. So he sticks the 18 in it, but the 17 in his con. He rolls a 4. Guess what? Zappo has 6 hit points. He's got twice the hit points of the fighter. He's a little bit more robust. It can happen. Weird things like that can happen. But I always make my players roll hit points at the start of the game. I mean, you guys watch the Tuesday night AD&D game. They level up. I mean, poor Dooms, man. He was, he was champing at the bit to go from 2nd to 3rd level. Or was it 1st to 2nd? I think it may have been 1st to 2nd. And he rolled his hit points. And he got 1. He wound up with a single hit point. That's just how the gods favor you or don't. Now, I know some dungeon masters will roll the hit points for their players, but I think there are some die rolls that you can just let the players do. I mean, I've seen DMs who roll initiative and saving throws. Now, there's behind the screen stuff that you should definitely do, and I learned this lesson. It's like, okay, you're playing a thief. You're searching for traps. Go ahead and roll it. 99. Yeah. Oh, okay. I searched for traps and I didn't find any. I kind of prefer rolling them behind the screen and telling the players, you don't think it's trapped. Did I roll an 01 or did I roll 000? Right? Yeah, it's her and Blazing Saddles. No, I'm not gonna give players max or half or average. Like, average. You just give it average hit points. No, you're gonna roll, which is how you wind up with a ranger with potentially 24 hit points at first level. How old are you, young man? 16, sir. Hold still, runs him through with a broadsword. Ow! I mean, you think about that. 24 hit points. Look at 6 guns and sorcery in the Dungeon Master's Guide. On average, that first level ranger who maxed out his con and maxed out his starting 2d8, if he gets shot with an average load of canister from a mountain gun, he's going to shrug it off and keep coming at you. That's got to be a little off-putting. Oh yeah. The Fine Traps Dungeon Minister always. Yeah, that's the behind the screen stuff. So, George, are you saying 4d6 drop lowest? Because I ain't giving 4d6 to a party. I'm just not. Although, long ago, in Twitter terms, right? On Twitter, last week was long ago. It's like I saw something I posted like 2 weeks ago. Some people were like responding to it and liking it, and I saw it come up in my notifications on Twitter, and I'm like, why are you guys going and digging this up? And it's from, I think, just before Thanksgiving, something. Thank you for the clarification, because then you open up the door to having a character potentially walking around with a 24 in something. What's your strength? 24. And at that point, go play. You might as well go play 5e. But I was mentioning, I did 46 drop lowest, and somebody got really cranky and mathy with me. So you give a +2 to your characters in 4 stats? How is that better than standard array? That just seems unbalanced to me. This person was coming at me from a 5e perspective, but it's not it was like, you give a +1 to every stat or something like that. And he goes all like, you guys have seen the meme of the it's like the sped up and he's drawn on the whiteboard and, like that. So that's like what he's coming at me with. And I'm like, dude, 46 arranged to taste drop lowest will generally speaking get you more or less the same kinds of characters as you will with 3d6 down the line. It's just that in first edition AD&D, stats matter a little bit more than they do in OD&D. Kyle. So, yeah, I never understood where he was coming from. I mean, mathematically, perhaps it equates to an I give a +1 to every stat or whatever the hell it was he was saying, but that is what we call a spherical cow argument. It's like, oh, could you accelerate a cow fast enough to get it in orbit? Well, yes, but it would have to be a vacuum, and the cow would have to be spherical, so there'd be no, I don't know the exact, but it goes back to something I was talking about with a buddy of mine, and I don't want to speak ill of the dead. He was a good guy. But I used to talk about various things in games that were arms races. And that's Heavy Gear, Battletech, even Twilight 2000 to a degree, where there's a scarcity of powerful equipment and you're trying to acquire as much as possible. And I would talk about, how fun would it be if you had a starting character who had this kind of battle mech? And he'd go full Rain Man on me talking about, but angry, aggressive Rain Man on me talking about like how, the numbers don't make any sense because blah, blah, blah. And I've run the numbers. And so, and yes, Scott, I suppose so, but there is a cool factor that is beyond the numbers. And isn't that always the way? There is a cool factor that goes beyond the numbers. The rule of cool trumps the mundanity of numbers. It really does. I mean, by God, if you have a large enough group and they decide to pool their D6 rolls in Twilight 2000 instead of taking, a distillery truck and 2 Humvees so they can carry all of the possible packets of food and everything, and they're like, we want to fight the Soviets. We're going to pool our D6s and roll on the vehicle table as one roll. Hell yeah, we got an M1E1. That's an M1 with an uncrewed remote turret, And your first reaction should not be start bitching at them about matters of fuel. That there's a rule of cool that trumps that kind of thing. Not tonight, Dave. No AD&D tonight. We're in between modules, in between adventures. We're going to start a new. I hesitate to use this term, but if the shoe fits, if the boots of dancing fit, wear them. Season after the first of the year. If a player insists on nobody insists on playing anything. They get what they get. I want to play a paladin. Roll the dice. Do you get the minimum stats? No? Oh, well. Oh, I can believe it, Hypercam. I can absolutely believe it. Hello, Dungeon Delvers. Oh, good, good on you. The spherical cow argument, the idea of setting up a set of perfect circumstances where all of your conditions will produce the exact outcome that you want. And so if you say that you want a cow that you can launch into orbit, well, if the cow is completely spherical, and it is like, the player's handbook says a successful adventurer will have at least a couple of 15s. The Dungeon Master's Guide right off the bat says 3d6 isn't really going to produce winning characters. Here's how you can fix that. And then gives you a bunch of different characteristic generation tables. I know Kyle likes to yank my chain. That's just his nature, and I love him to pieces. But, I'm very serious. It's like, oh, you have 9s and everything? That's a perfectly playable character. It's really not. You have a percentage chance. Okay, magic user. You have a percentage chance of knowing certain spells. Oh, I just carry lots and lots and lots of flaming oil. And when your magic user starts having gravel traps landing on you and breaking all your flaming your flasks of oil, a fighter who gets no 2-hit bonuses, gets no constitution bonuses, his bend bars lift gates is a single-digit percentages, his open doors is a 1. It's just it's more vital. Yeah, OD&D doesn't have those things. OD&D is a little bit more seat of the pants. But AD&D does have those. I think you can live in the AD&D world and play in the AD&D world, or you can live in the OD&D world and play in the OD&D world. That's just my mindset on it, And 3d6 down the line is not. If you want to roll your character that way, more power to you. But I just don't view it as that viable for the AD&D system. It's a different set of rules. That's why it says advanced on the cover. Get out, Kabuki. Get out. I'm just messing with you. We're probably not thinking of the same person, Kabuki, but I have heard of DMs who like mix Palladium and AD&D, and I'll tell you, for those of you who are passingly familiar with Rollmaster and their wacky crit charts and stuff like that. Hang on a second. Their wacky crit charts and so on and etc. Rollmaster began its life as an AD&D supplement, as a homebrew AD&D supplement. The arms law, claw law, spell law, and so on started as first edition AD&D replacement tables because the players didn't think that the combat system in AD&D was any good. They didn't think it was realistic enough. Yeah. Sorry about that. I cranked it down. I didn't realize that it had gotten cranked up so brightly. I think what it was is I've been testing it. As I said, I now have a polarizing filter on the camera. And let me tell you something. You either love it or hate it. There's no in between. You're either with the people who hate it or the people who love it, because it's a polarizing filter. You see what I did there, guys? Laugh, you bastards. That was funny. Anyway, yeah, unseen, invisible, deceased turtle, fumble result 66. Yeah. Kenny Rogers roaster sign. But yeah, no, the CJD Young the Third. Thank you very much. Whoever they are should fire them, right, James? But no, there's been lots of alternative systems, and I kind of got to go with Gary. Maybe I'd be a little less irascible about it, because I'm not trying to sell anybody first edition AD&D. I want you to play it, and I want you to enjoy it, but I'm not making any money off of it in the direct sense. I mean, Gary would, in his openness, get besieged by people who would say, look, I've come up with a better combat system, Radiant. We do this. What were you thinking? And so on. And as problems and so on and etc. would begin to mount at TSR, you kind of get on a short fuse, right? And so, well, I've come up with a better combat system. I've come up with a better, the magic point system. It's so much better. I've added this, I've added that. And Gary's blunt response was, that's fine. Maybe that's fine for your table, but that's not first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. It wasn't even first edition. It was just Advanced Dungeons and Dragons back then. You wanted the man to adjudicate, and yet at the same time, you wanted to tear him down for doing the adjudicating. I'm not justifying all of his short tempers in various zines and so on and etc. But at the same time, viewers, listeners, you've got to agree, wouldn't it wear thin on you? People constantly nattering you? I think it would. But to get back to me and what I do, I don't, I have a great affinity for first edition AD&D. I don't feel the need to inject palladium or this, that, or the other. Or, it's certainly more realistic to do it this way. Rollmaster is supposedly more realistic. I want a game where a party of 4 first-level fighters can kick down the door of a room full of 30 kobolds, and we're done in a reasonable amount of time and can get more adventuring in. And I'm sorry, Rollmaster is kick down the door. Well, Bob, you rolled an 01. Roll on this table. Now roll on this table. Now roll on this table. Now read that itty-bitty block of text in the middle. You shattered your femur and severed your femoral artery. You're at minus 75% and unable to do anything. You will bleed out in 12 rounds. Thank you, Dungeon Minister. Can I get an amen for Dungeon Minister? Exactly, Luther. It's 30 minutes of fun spread out over 4 hours. That is what Rollmaster is. And I'm telling you honestly, as much fun as those tables were to read, I got no patience for that. I want to kick in the door. I want to go in. I want to, how much are you putting in your offensive bonus? What are you putting in your defensive bonus? It is the most fiddly combat system outside of Starfleet battles or ship-to-ship combat in Traveler that I have ever encountered, and I want nothing to do with it. Do you know what Mark Twain described baseball as? A good nap spoiled. Now, he was an irascible old SOB, but I did enjoy going to Braves games with my dad, but it was because I was with my dad. That sounds like we did a shallow dive on Bio 1, which was a TSR supplement put out, and Bio 1, man, you gotta go back and find the episode, guys, about Bio 1. It was a supplement TSR put out like in 73. I think it may have even predated Dungeons and Dragons. But oh, did it stink up the joint? It was not good. If you ever get a copy of Bio 1, if you go into a used bookstore and you see a copy of Bio 1, purchase it and then go flip it on eBay to a collector who has more money than sense, and then spend that money on better vintage TSR products. Because Bio 1 literally divides the upper body of a person into a dungeon map-like grid. And you look at, you know how Battletech works? Battletech, but for a person's body. That fiddly. Do you get shot in the left nut or the right nut, or right in the middle? And I'm not kidding about that either. Yeah, I think that's how it's spelled, James. Close, Jack. I was talking about the very hyper obscure TSR booklet called Bio One, which, to their credit, wasn't like its own game system. Like, if you go looking for that and you're like, hey, yeah, I wonder if there's any hidden secret Greyhawk lore or Blackmore stuff. It's not. It's not. I mean, it stunk on ice. He can teach you how to jump out of an airplane in 3 hours. The Army crams it into 3 weeks. I am reminded of somebody said this was painted on a wall. It was a cartoon painted on a wall in Fort Benning, I think, and it said basically it's a trainee saying, well, what happens if I pull the handle on my reserve, or the cord on my reserve chute, and it doesn't open, sir? And the jump master is saying, well, you have the rest of your life as an Army Ranger to figure out what's going to happen next. But anyway, yeah, I don't get much into alternate systems. Look, I have great systems mastery of first edition AD&D. I do. But it took me a long time to get to where I will comfortably say I have systems mastery. And I'm old, guys. I'm not 18 anymore. I don't start at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning and go till 2 o'clock on Sunday morning every weekend, or from 4 in the afternoon until just after 1 in the morning on Fridays. And if it's summer, all bets are off, you know? I really just have the one. If you want me to learn a system other than AD&D, OD&D Basic, or Hero System, which I played a lot of, not enough to say I can run. It needs to be really simple. I mean, that's why, like, I'm keen on well, you guys can't really, yeah, the Black and Yellow, the Hazard striped books there. Heavy Gear. Heavy Gear, the silhouette system is extremely easy to use. It's almost as easy to use as Free League's D6 system, which is also easy to use. At least it is for Tales from the Loop. Now, Things from the Flood, I don't know about, but I can tell you Tales from the Loop is fairly simple. But yeah, no, if you're going to come at me with, like, you know, hey, do you want to learn how to play Palladium? Nope. I sure don't. Hey, Bill, do you remember enough Rollmaster that you can play a game? Nah. Okay, well, but you do know some of it, so you want to sit down and play? Nah. I don't. My hard drive is 86% full and highly fragmented. And, you know, my Logan's Run life clock is flashing red. In the number of days I've got between now and somebody saying, well, it was a lovely service, and this this buffet is delicious, guys. If I'm gonna bust my brain learning something, it's not going to be a new role-playing game, because this never runs out of fun. It never does. I can create new and more and challenging things for people endlessly. Well, that's just walking around an antenna that's got an ion field around it unregistered, so I could do that. Another deep dive into an old module. You know what, Luther? We should do one of those. We're going to do one after the first of the year. It's been too long, and I think after the first of the year, how about Tegel Manor? We did some Judges Guild this past year. Do you guys want Tegel Manor? I tell you what, can be any amount. If you guys want Tegel Manor in 2024, throw a super chat. Doesn't have to be everybody. Orange cover Tegel Manor. It was 30. 30 was your day when you had to go to Carousel. Report to Carousel. Someday, Dungeon Delvers, someday. That is a long way off. No, it won't. That's cool, Dungeon Delvers. You really are the mirror universe version of me. You're called Dungeon Delvers, but your first modules were Gygax modules, but it was way up at the other end of the spectrum and at the end of Gary's tenure at TSR. I'm way down here with B2 Keep on the Borderlands. Did I put that over here? Or is that in the stack? It may still be in the stack. Or maybe I did put it over here. That's here it is. Yeah. So yeah, I got this from Todd and Anna. This is the original deal, the original Tegel Manor. Orange Tegel Manor booklet, the Manor map area, or the Manor area map, rather. I wonder if this one's written in. I wonder if this dude bought mine, because I sold one, but I don't remember if it still had this much shrink wrap. If this is written in, I'm going to flip out. No. Okay, so no. I'll give you guys a little taste here. Tegel Manor, a great manor fortress on the seacoast, is rumored to be left over from ancient days when a charm was placed over it, protecting it from most of the ravages of time and human occupation. The hereditary owners, whose family name is Rump, not Tegel, Rump, have been amiss in their traditional duty of providing protection for the market village to the west. Some have said that this failing and their bizarre eccentricities have led to their corruption. Many have found the manor and the area to be a dangerous place to visit. This charm includes fire resistance for the manor's timbers. I mean, literally, the module starts on the cover. Right on the cover. And then we got this map. We have this gorgeous map. 24-page booklet, 17 by 22 refs map of manor and area, 11 by 17 players map of manor and area, and character checklist. Character checkist. You checkist. That's a political officer, by the way. The old Soviet Union. So here's the character checklist. So on and etc. Yeah, every small press company has taken a swing at publishing are republishing Table Manor in some form or the other. So it's like, well, I have Table Manor. Whose version do you have? How many pages of it? You know, I've just got the Judges Guild one. That's plenty enough. One of the rooms had a dumped. Don't do it. I'll do what I want. Give me that deck of many things. I'll open that up. There's just a puff of smoke, and you guys hear a ribbit from behind my desk here. Luther, I haven't seen a bunch, but I have groceries to get tomorrow. I did a video, by the way, Kabuki, on the situation with Sojkonth. Yeah, there's a video. It just released it this afternoon. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit chilly where I'm at. Well, chilly for my standards. Let me just make that clear. Chilly for my standards. So I'm going to go to the grocery store tomorrow, and I'll be wearing my Bama hoodie and hat. I have a feeling that people are going to draw a lot of ire, but I'm going to say this. This is what I'm going to say about college football. S4 is phenomenal. It is beautiful. It is haunting. It is dark. It is frightening. It is everything a good adventure should be. I'll remember that when you're talking about sweating your ass off and it's just breaking 80 up there, Dungeon Minister. Okay? And in Florida, don't go to the beach today. The sand is fusing to glass. No, I people up in arms over what Alabama did forget that the final order of the rankings doesn't put Bama at fourth. It puts them at third. Texas is fourth. Texas is to blame for this, not us. And that's all I have to say about college football. But yeah, no, S4 is fun. Kabuki, how do you feel? I may have asked you this before, but how do you feel about, by the way, I never saw a super, so I guess we're not doing Table Manor deep dive. That's okay. That's right, Luther. Road March. Glad to be of service. No, 100 is proper, Dungeon Minister. We don't use communist measurement systems here. No, so you're a big fan of S4. I'm a big fan of S4. As a module by itself, not as an expansion of the lore of Greyhawk, just as an adventure module, because those are two very different categories. How do you feel about Forgotten Temple of Tharizdun? I'd like to know. I really want to know. Anybody else who's played Tharizdun, I would like to hear your opinions of. Yeah, wave of mutilation. My eyes on you. End it, hawk heck. Vaughn said he loves it. CJ Young says it's amazing. I'm presuming you're talking about it. Tharizdun. Yeah, it's odd. It is odd. Road March hasn't played it. Well, before I answer that question, Dungeon Delvers, God, that's weird. I've explained that, haven't I, Kabuki? Loved all 30 minutes you lasted. Thought we'd be clever and send me in the. And guess what? Boom. Bop it. Okay. I see this pop up in D&D horror stories mostly because that's all I pay attention to, a 5e. What is a West March game? And it's the West Marches of what? Where are we west of? Answer me that, and I will give you an answer to what I think of those kind of games. Tell me what they are. Tharizdun is very Lovecraftian. Tharizdun is essentially Azathoth. Gary ended the Gord the Rogue books on a very down note. All the bad guys were able to assemble all the pieces of the thing that they needed to awaken Tharizdun, with predictable results for the world of Greyhawk. Dichloro arsine. West Marches is a sandbox with multiple groups, right? I don't know. It's more than one group of players actively controlling characters in the same game world. Well, actually, that kind of sounds like how old AD&D games used to go. You know, you'd play in Blackmore, or you'd play in Greyhawk campaigns. It cites page 5 of AD&D Men and Magic. Okay, all right. Then that's cool. That seems real cool. Let's, let me see here. What is I gotta make sure they're saying it right. There we go. It's been a long time since I've knocked something over. Far too long. I have been far too cautious. And my girlfriend was the victim of it. My succubi done by the incomparable Darlene. Let's see. Page 5 of Men and Magic. That's Greyhawk. That's another copy of Greyhawk. I have many copies of Greyhawk. The Underworld and Wilderness Adventures, Monsters and Treasures. The one next to it's got to be Men and Magic. So let's have a gander at this. George, have a lovely evening, sir. Be well. Four, five. Okay. All right, here I am. Page 5 of AD&D Men and Magic. Scope. With the various equipage listed in the following sections, Dungeons & Dragons will provide a basically complete, nearly endless campaign of all levels of fantastic medieval wargame play. Actually, the scope need not be restricted to the medieval. It can stretch from the prehistoric to the imagined future, but such expansion is recommended only at such time as the possibilities of the medieval aspect have been thoroughly explored. The use of paper, pencil, and map boards are standard. Miniature figures can be added if the players have them available and so desire, but miniatures are not required, only aesthetically pleasing. Similarly, unit counters can be employed, with or without figures, although by themselves the bits of cardboard lack the eye appeal of the varied and brightly painted miniature figures. Age level, 12 years and up. Number of players, at least one referee, and from 4 to 50 players can be handled in any single campaign, but the referee to player ratio should be about 1 to 20 or thereabouts. Hey, a nerd's nerd. Recommended equipment, Dungeons & Dragons. You have it. Outdoor Survival, available from your hobby dealer or directly from Avalon Hill Company, 4517 Hartford Road, Baltimore, Maryland, 21214. Dice. The following different kinds of dice are available from TSR. 1 pair, 4-sided, 1 pair, 8-sided, 4 to 20 pairs, 6-sided, 1 pair, 20-sided, 1 pair, 12-sided. You will note, no 10-sided dice are mentioned. Chainmail Miniature Rules, latest edition, available from your hobby dealer or directly from TSR Hobbies, P.O. Box 756, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, 53147. 1 3-ring notebook, referee in each player, graph paper, 6 lines per inch is best, sheet protectors, heavy as possible, 3-ring lined paper, drafting equipment and colored pencils, scratch paper and pencils, imagination, 1 patient referee and players. Preparation for the campaign. The referee bears the entire burden here, but if care and thought are used, the reward will be more than repay him. For the referee must draw out a minimum of a half dozen maps of the levels of his underworld, people them with monsters of various horrid aspect, distribute treasures accordingly, and note the location of the latter on 2 keys corresponding to the appropriate level. This operation will be more fully described in the 3rd volume of these rules. When this task is completed, the participants can then be allowed to make their first descent into the dungeons beneath the huge ruined pile, a vast castle built by. That's it. That's page 5. So I guess we're talking about number of players, at least 1 referee, and from 4 to 50 players can be handled in any single campaign, but the referee to player ratio should be about 1 to 20 or thereabouts, because that's all I'm seeing on page 5. That's all I'm seeing on page 5. But at the risk of sounding like I'm just being a cranky old man, the comments vis-a-vis the number of players and multiple rests, that started in Gary's basement, essentially, up in Lake Geneva. That was, Rob is going to run something. Now it's going to be Gary. Now it's going to be Skip. Now it's going to be Jim. Now it's going to be, and just on and on and on and on and bopping back and forth. I got that reference, Jack. So you would have your characters potentially drifting through these many campaigns. Michael Mertig, hello. And so I guess they do that with 5e. Now, I remember back in the early 2010s, I guess it kind of really caught fire in 2015 and lasted up. It may still be a going thing. You 5e kids will have to tell me. But there was the Adventurers Guild. Is that right? The Adventurers Guild, the Adventurers League, something like that. The Adventurers Team. The Venture Brothers. The Ventures guitar band. Anyway, and I know that worked very heavily with a sort of, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this with a bunch of you. Like a pen and paper NFT system. Basically, you go to a convention, you'd play in an adventure, you'd get a magic item, you'd advance a certain level, and you'd go to a marshal, a referee, whatever, and you'd say, Tom, the DM, would give you, would sign off on whatever magic item, and he'd give you a note card or whatever, a Pente bead, and you'd go to whoever was running the guild, the league, the whatever game, and you get like the stamp of approval. So you go to another campaign, and that magic sword that you got in that game, you can now say, "Hey, I won this magic sword in this dungeon adventure, and now I can go do this." I can say I've got, I legitimately came by this +1 sword. To which I say, I don't really want to bring out, you show up in my game and you've got ultra special magic item, even if it was signed off on by a league play referee. You may be thinking of the RPGA Dungeon Delvers. The Wilderness Survival Guide and Dungeoneer Survival Guide are wonderful books. You can carry 4 drinks on them easily, or a couple of drinks and like a bowl of chips, a small bowl of chips and a small bowl of dip, that sort of thing. I cannot stress the utility of those books. They can be used to place on top of important books and papers to soak up any spills that might, food, anything like that that might fall. Really, honestly, they're a third of an inch thick, I think, just about. That glossy cardboard is easy to just, you just take that to the faucet and just wash it right off at the end of the night. Jack, exactly. If you're painting, sometimes you'll find yourself at an event and it's something like that, and hey, I want to paint a miniature. I have a few jars of paint in my pocket, and my, Bork the Fighter, my miniature. You don't want to get paint on a convention table at a hotel or wherever the venue is. You just take one out. Wilderness Survival Guide or Dungeon Survival Guide, doesn't matter. Right on the table, plenty of room. If you spill paint, nothing important was damaged at all. You just wait for it to dry, or just kind of wipe it off and go on about your way. I will say this, all my kidding about them, the cover art to the WSG and the DSG is absolutely gorgeous. It's Jeff Easley work, and it is quite excellent. Somewhere you have an unpainted Trud the Barbarian. You listen to my Gygax interview. We were talking, what was it? Don McVitie from Hellebard and I were up way too late Saturday night into the wee hours of Sunday morning. Like, it is going to be daylight sooner than it is not level of time. He and I were just talking on the phone. And there's a very few of you that you and I will communicate on the phone. And I am sure every one of you I've talked to will testify to this, that it is dangerous to talk to me on the phone, because I will, one more minute, I am the master. I am the absolute master of the Southern goodbye. The Southern goodbye. Well, it's starting to get a little late. Before you go, I wanted to ask you, though, about, have you ever resin printed your own dice? How do they roll? 45 minutes later, we are talking about the state of the 3D printing industry. And then we start talking about the prices of them on Amazon, and then we start talking about Jeff Bezos and his personality and everything. And before you know it, an hour and 10 more minutes have gone by since I said, well, we got to go. Hellebard. Let's see. Hellebard. Hellebard, they've published some stuff of mine. I've worked with them on module projects. You should check them out. But yeah, so yeah, anyway, Don and I were talking on the phone, and we were discussing Manual of the Plains. And Don is not he is absolutely not a action computer gamer guy. He was floored to find out that the cacodemon from Doom is the Astral Reaver or something Juggernaut, Astral Juggernaut, the creature on the front of the Manual of the Planes. The guys at id Software were like, that thing's head, yeah, and so they put that into Doom. That is the Cacademon's head in, or the Cacademon in Doom is the Astral Reavers or whatever's head. Yeah, that's Magnificent Devil. That is that's amateur hour. The Southern Goodbye is a minimum of 90 minutes more. I mean, interesting reads, that's fine. Sure. I mean, if you're a completist and you want them for interesting reads, that's absolutely fine. They're just not usable, I don't think, in a game. And I saw some spells in Manual of the Planes and things like that. They're literally game breaking. Death Angel's Shadow. Hello, how are you? It is good to see you. Magnificent Devil. Nobody got time for that. Yeah, well, that's you Yankees. You know how it is. So I'll just hurry with y'all. Y'all just all up in a hurry up there, up north. Hey, get out of here. I'm walking here. Y'all just don't know how to enjoy nothing. I will say that I think, was it the first time we were in Wisconsin or this? No, I think it was the second time we were in Wisconsin. We went to the Olympic, which was this highly recommended diner by Gary. It's kind of meh. On the main drag there in Lake Geneva. And I asked the young lady, I said, can I get a sweet iced tea? She brought me a glass of Lipton and one single packet of sugar. What the hell was I supposed to do with that? Wait for it to undergo parthenogenesis and spontaneously just start making more sugar packets? And my wife leans over and she touches me on my arm. She's like, honey, they don't understand sweet tea up here. All right, that's fine. That's fine. I asked her for, like, can I get some more sugar? And she was polite. It wasn't like, fine, here. But she did bring me a sugar shaker from the counter or from another table or something. I was a little irritated because we did ask, we had Rosemary with us. We were trying to make formula in the place. We're like, hey, can we get a glass of water, no ice, please? Because we have to make baby formula for her. And she's like, oh, sure, okay. Doesn't bring it out till our meal, and it's like 99% ice. So I was like, I'm sorry, was this the glass of water we ordered? She's like, oh yeah, with the extra ice. I'm like, no, I have to make formula with this. Can you please bring me a glass of water? And meanwhile, my wife is just like scooping the ice out and putting it into my now empty, mostly empty tea glass, because our daughter was. Are you guys talking about Fiend Folio? Anyway, five players. I missed some conversation. How many hardcovers are in a full AD&D set? A full AD&D set, if you are an absolute completist, and I'm not going to make any wisecracks, in chronological order: Monster Manual, Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, Deities and Demigods, Fiend Folio, Monster Manual 2, Unearthed Arcana, Oriental Adventures, Wilderness Survival Guide, Dungeoneer Survival Guide, Manual of the Plains. Now, Greyhawk Adventures is straight up says this is for transitioning you into second edition. So I don't really consider that, but that's 11 volumes. That's a pretty thick stack. It's got nothing on like 3E or 5E or even 2E, but that is your complete run. That is your total run. Now, if you're talking about what I consider, it is a complete set. Monster, Players, Dungeon Masters, and Deities and Demigods. It doesn't have to be the unexpurgated Deities and Demigods. You don't have to like take out a home equity loan to get one. You can even track down a Legends and Lore book, which actually had gorgeous cover art, and I wish I'd kept the copy that I'd had once upon a time. But for me, the utility of those books is not in like, I'm going to throw Raiden, Japanese God of Thunder, at my party this week. Unless, your party's obscenely high level. The utility in those books are for the edge cases when you wind up with characters who are normal, just adventuring. They can be 4th, 5th, 6th level, whatever. And through means, wind up with stats over 18. And you'd like a semi-official look at it. Is there any place you can get a list of all official TSR adventures from 1E and Beck Me? Yes. Here, I'm going to put it up on screen. I'm not a huge fan of the collector mentality because I'm a player, not a collector. And the guys in the forum over there will straight up tell you that they don't play. They don't give a shit about playing. They care about collecting. If you turned your back, they would pry your rare D&D book out of your hands and stick it inside sealed Lexan low acid nitrogen gas vault. That's their idea of preservation. But Akium.com. Go there. You're just trying to get me to Twitch, aren't you, Wave? Shh. Quiet, Cal. I know, Kabuki. I'm just being a bitter old crank. Don't mind me. Yeah, with Fiend Folio and with Monster Manual 2, they took like if you wanted truly hugely expanded Wandering Monster tables and you wanted to run into Nilbogs or Meanlocks or what is it, the Drelb, Memory Moss, things like that. Those tables are in the Monster Manual 2 for sure. I think the hardcover is second, Addy, even though the modules were later uh, the modules that came earlier and later, slightly similar concepts, were 1E. Yeah, the troll tube meme. No, mortals can't have fascinatability, obviously. But anyway, yeah, check that out. That is pretty much the comprehensive list and prices and what you should pay for the conditions and yada yada yada. And I will say this, bitch about the Akium though I do, their tracking of prices is a lot more in line with reality, because you'll see people like, I'm just gonna pull this up here. I'm just gonna show you guys something. Because it's late night and I want to do this, hang out with you guys. Let's see. I want you guys to see this. Now, right now, before I show you guys this, what is the most common D&D module of all time? Not the one that you love the most, not the one that you and your friends had, that you played every summer. What is the most common D&D module of all time? And you're all saying B2 or some variation thereof. I want you to look at this. I want you to take a good look at eBay. I'm going to bring this up on the screen. This is a module that shouldn't cost you more than $7 to $10. $59.99. That's the reprint, and they want $25 for it. Oh, there's one just $17.50, but it looks like it's been hit by a truck. $22.95, $15 or best offer. Some of these are somewhat sane. Look at that. Now, I know that these are traps, but there's literally, oh, hey, here's one for $44.99. 3-hole punch. Guys, this is like, I would take that module and $10 from you to take that off your hand in that condition. Hello, Straw Piglet. Welcome. Dungeon Minister's got it. I tried to sell my old D&D stuff. I mean, here's one. It's got a couple of bids. It's $4. I wish there was a bin on that. Like $4, I'd buy it. I don't know why. But if we go over here, oh, they've changed up their page a lot since the last time I was here. Modules. Let's look at modules. B2, keep on the Borderlands. Near mint also includes in shrink wrap. 3 to 10 times for shrink wrap. None of those were shrink wrapped. This should have been the price range of all of those examples. Well, that's on you, James. I can believe it, Hypercam. There's actually a gorgeous homebrew Pac-Man for the 2600. Like what this guy did versus what Atari did, just amazing. Mage's Musings, hello to you too. I've got, let me see. I have my copy that Gary autographed. I have one in each of I have one in the introductory set and one in the basic set. I have a couple of loose ones. I have this Goodman Games thing. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. There's a very spicy video coming tomorrow. I may lose subscribers because of it. And I've got a few copies of it, I guess is what I'm saying. But anyway, no, the collector's market is completely bonkers. And I actually, as much as I kvetch, I don't blame it on the Oculum. I blame it on stupid people on eBay. You know, no low ballers. I know what I got. And you know what? It's not just, it absolutely is not just tabletop RPG stuff. It's not just Gen X geek collectibles. I have said before, I kind of just did Straw Piglet when I was mentioning this Goodman Games thing, the Expedition to Borderlands book. If you couldn't detect that, a little bit of sarcasm dripping off that. For me, James Seymour, lots of Scobills for, like, you know, stack me up compared to, like, I don't know, you know, Count Dankula. No, probably not at all. But anyway, the car resto guys, there's one of the guys, Pole Barn Garage. He's fantastic. He's hilarious. The guy's my hero. I love his channel. I mean, he's a dude who'll go buy an LTD, like a 1976 LTD, put like $75 worth of parts in it to make it roadworthy. And then cut the roof will be rusted out because of that vinyl top. So he'll just cut that off with a chainsaw and then spray paint it with shiny red tractor paint. At a distance, it looks like you have a convertible an old luxury car that's a convertible, but of course, you know, it's like a total death trap. But my dude, you're not wrong, Magnificent Devil. In fact, you know what? And all that's based on one thing. For me, it's based on one thing. It's based on one single thing. It's based on one single thing. The other thing I said I wasn't going to comment on, and I'm not going to comment on it. But the thing I'm going to go in tomorrow, although it might be, is it today? Nope, it's 4 more minutes until it's today. The thing I'm going to go in about tomorrow is, yeah. We all have our breaking point, but to get back to what we're talking about, collector prices. Pole Barn Garage sometimes sits down and he goes on to Facebook Marketplace and eBay Auto, but he mostly goes to Facebook Marketplace to look for vintage cars. He stopped going, for the most part, to shop for stuff to find and resto on the show, and just to look at the insane prices. And the joke is, and other car resto guys do it too, you know, don't lowball me, I know what I got. And I mean, it's guys with like 71 GTOs that are literally so rusted, even if you could get them driving, if you went over a pothole, the car would physically snap in half. Like the frames are rotted, you know? Cars that have been sit and parked in flood areas for decades. But, you know, 71 Ford Fleet Side F-150. You know, it's been parked, ran when parked, as is $8,500. No low ballers. I know what I got. And he's starting to see, like, you know, no YouTubers, no video. Yes, you don't want people. So it's not just like pen and paper stuff. It's not Nintendo games. It's not pinball machines. It's not arcade cabinets exclusively. It's like people have just stripped gears. That's amazing graph paper. That sounds lovely. Yeah, car parked in a river for 50 years, just dredged out. Don't lowball me. I know what I got. Yeah, exactly, Mage. Exactly. If it's not completely rotted out, James, and you're in proximity of one of the car resto YouTuber guys, reach out to them. Junkyard Diggs, he's in Iowa. Polebarn Garage is in Kentucky. Luke Thunderhead 289 is also in Iowa. You've got Dylan McCool, he's up in Tennessee. The only car resto guy from that group is here in Florida is a guy named Tavarish, and like his restos were weird. His restos were like you know, okay, I've got a supercar that I'm going to see if I can get running. Oh, cool! What is it? A supercar? Is it like a McLaren or a Maserati or something? No, it's a Bricklin. It's a 1979 Bricklin, and its engine is seized. It's like, what can we do with this? There you go, James. There you go. The porcelain vision water. Who's the U-boat commander? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Two Mahars, water damage, coffee ring, spine gone, loose leaf from a smoking house. Don't lowball me. I know what I got. $200. And anywhere, everything, every niche hobby is like that anymore. About the only thing you can get anymore that people are willing to give away, and let me just pump the brakes for a second while they still work and we don't blow a master cylinder and run off the road. I do not expect people to give things away. If you got something and it's worth money, damn it, charge money for it. On the other side of this table, over there, about 6 feet away and sitting down on the floor, is a Dell workstation. Well, it's not even really a workstation. It's just a Dell Office PC. It's an Optiplex 3020 that I dropped a Xeon in, so it'll basically run at i7 speeds, and a GT 1030 video card, and I've maxed out the RAM, either 8 or 16 gigs. I'll have to double check. And it's got an SSD, so it boots fast. It was the original streaming PC for this channel for a while anyway. I want money for it. If somebody's like, I'll give you $5 for it, I'll give you $20 for it. No, I'm not going to take that. I mean, it's absolutely not. And so I completely understand. But sitting and holding on to, you know, the aforementioned car, you know, the rusted out Chevelle that's rotted through, that has like a dead opossum and an inch of raccoon poop on the shelf behind the rear windscreen. You know, the engine is seized. All you're going to get is laughed at. And I'm not, you know, that PC over there that I was talking about, I'm not putting that up on Facebook Marketplace and saying, you know, this is a top tier 4K gaming rig. This is $3,600. No low ballers. I know what I got. But everybody seems to have gotten that mindset. Look, yes, get paid, but retain a modicum of realistic expectations is what I'm saying. And don't be an a-hole to somebody who actually knows what you've got. You know, if somebody said, okay, you got a, you know, 900p monitor and a fourth gen Dell with a 250 gig SSD and a GT 1030 in it, that'll run Counter-Strike at like 60 frames a second, 1080p low. I'll give you $100 for everything. Out the door. Not you get out the door. Take it. Give me the $100. Take it. I keep tripping over the damn thing. You know, and I got various other bits and bobs around here, the same thing. I'm not going to let somebody walk away with it, but I'm also capable of managing my expectations. Dungeon Delver. Vintage Dell with superior upgrades. No low ballers. I know what I got. I know what I got. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll have a I'll have a guy with a cart. You know, it's a long sword. It's made of steel. 5,000 gold pieces. No low ballers. I know what I've got. Oh, that little rig? Yeah, I mean, I just to see if it would, I did install Overwatch and was it Far Cry 3 or 4? One of the higher numbered Far Cry games, and something else. Like basically anything that uses the source engine will just go on it. Great. Authentic Kobold made Club Hunter Platinum. I know what I got. No low ballers. And Magnificent Devil, let me tell you something. I don't disagree with you. I am not arguing against that point of view at all. I'm just not seeing the correction. I'm just seeing people get nastier and nastier and nastier and like cranking the price up and up and up. Let me tell you what. There's a local guy, but he's got a huge YouTube channel. If you like modern PC stuff, I don't mean vintage PC stuff, unless you consider like back to the fourth gen Intel vintage. But his name's Greg Salazar, and he's got a great YouTube channel. And if you're in the Orlando area, I'm sounding like an ad for him, but like he does PC repairs, and he does them for Orlando area residents. He's very picky about which ones he takes because he doesn't want to get scammed. But the income he makes from videos cover the cost of parts. So he can make a video that gets people looking at his channel, and a lot of times he'll get a broken PC from somebody, like, hey, it was, this is my kid's PC. And the guy is righteous, like, I have this Dell, I have this Office Dell, it's my kid's gaming PC, it doesn't work anymore. It just, and I can't really, afford a new one. Are you in the Orlando area? Let's meet up. And he gets paid working on it. See you around, Cal. And the guy is just very, very decent about that sort of thing. He got sued. He was doing his YouTube thing. He was going through. He's like, man, these prices, that's crazy. As far as I'm aware, he was, he was basically doing a community service. He was explaining. Yeah, it's midnight down here, graph paper. He was explaining. Oh, no. That's not why that's there. Dungeon Delvers, that's not why that's there. I guested on somebody's show, and I used my StreamYard settings by mistake when I was setting up to join their show instead of joining their StreamYard server. So I did all this stuff, and I thought that was funny. That was, I think, before that was like in that gap between when you were last here and when you started coming here. That's not directed at you. But he basically said, don't get ripped off. This is not a $5,000 gaming PC. This is not a $6,000, $7,000 gaming PC. Dude legally came after him. Like, how dare you? And he's like, I'm not attacking your business. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm saying these are bad prices. And here's my evidence. I mean, he had the original video up there. Greg is a very level-headed guy. He's never popped off on anybody. And the guy popped off on him, and it's just a crazy. It's just a crazy kind of mindset. And I wish the problem would correct itself, Magnificent Devil. I wish the problem would start correcting itself. The Gap, when I was screwed over by a predatory trucking company lease purchase program, almost done with the bankruptcy from the. Ouch, brother. That sucks. Well, you and me, Dungeon Delvers and the Dungeon Delver, have been talking about doing a collab, so that's going to happen in around the first of the year. I think it'll be good for both of us. It'll be fun. By our powers combined, we'll hang out and have a good time. We'll find something to do. Oh my gosh! So, bringing this all back around to the Akium, my sniping and griping about the collectors is Delver of Dungeon Wizard. Yeah. I am Spartacus kind of moment from everybody in the community. The Akium Act puts up pretty spot on and fair prices. I don't regard them as being the ones who've driven this. I mean, in fact, they are like some of the saner people out there when it comes to a lot of these prices. It's like, a player's handbook that literally has no spine anymore. It's an easily cover, and the spine has disintegrated away, and you can like see the stitching, and there's clear tape put on there to like hold it together. They show a picture of the inside, and there's like 2 strips of duct tape, one in the front, one in the back, keeping the fly leaves kept held on to the manuscript part of the book. And they're like, you know, $99.99. It was written by Gary Gygax. I know what I got. Come on. And they'll point that crap out too. Because there is a problem in vintage D&D reselling, and there has been all the way back to the early 2000s, of 1 or 2 sellers who have really incredibly shady practices. Yeah, that's a steal. Noble Knight is fair. I met the Noble Knight folks face to face at GaryCon this past March, and I got to say, cooler people in that line, cooler, not people as cool, but cooler people I had not met. They were wonderful and fun, and a lot of fun to talk to. And I got a sale for them. Ty Beard was hanging around their booth, and he was like, "Oh, fella, might like to pick up a copy of Empire of the Petal Throne. I had one. I've been meaning to replace it." I'm like, dude, you're probably not going to get a better price. I mean, yeah, it's spendy, but it's Empire of the Petal Throne. TSR made 2,500 of those back in 75, and that was it. And there sits one. $300. And he was like, well, yeah, when you're right, you're right. David McCauley, welcome. Good to see you. But I had my friends Todd and Anna had given me a distressed, falling apart Dungeon Master's guide. It was still fairly solid, but I put it up on the RPG for sale group on Facebook. I said, here it is. Cost is shipping. First person that wants it can have it. But here's the deal. Please do not chop it to pieces. Use it for decoupage. Wallpaper your man cave with it. Please use it and love it. And I mean, it was, again, the spine was gone off of this thing. It had very thin cloth to holding it together. And the dude was like, you know what? I know how to repair books. This will go to a good home. And I felt good about that. Like, I was genuinely happy that dude had a good home for it. That made me feel good. That's the kind of that's what you like to see. The only time I ever got like really super duper pissed off at the Occam, I mean genuinely for reals, is they were, and I still don't agree with this, but they were like, well, we want to find out about, like, I don't even remember the reasoning, but basically they were like, let's buy up as many Dungeon Masters guides as we can find, and we're gonna cut them. We're gonna cut the binding apart to look at like how something was made so we can determine printing. And I'm like, that's fucking terrible. That is terrible. Do they ever do a reprint of the better D&D book manuals? Michael, the best way to do that is to DIY. That is to buy the PDFs and send them to a service like Lulu, or to get the print on demands. I mean, technically speaking, the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, Monster Manual, and a few of the other key hardbacks, and a lot of the adventures, but not all of them, are in print because they're print on demand, and you can order physical copies of them. So they are technically in print and available to get copies of. Now, for things like box sets, unfortunately, like I got Gamma World from Drive-Thru a couple of years ago. I got the Gamma World set. but it was the Gamma World map JPEG and a single glossy cover book. There's no box. They're not going to go through the trouble of reprinting a box. Dungeon Delvers, if they have, yes, Dice Tales, you have to upload stuff to Lulu though. But anyway, WotC to come out with theirs. Might as well at this point. Dragon's Breath Coffee. Their highest aspirations of some of their adventures is for you to play baristas. I did a video about the AD&D reprint. It's going to be in a history book. But as far as the others, if they are keeping exceptionally tight-lipped about it. They're keeping exceptionally tight-lipped about it. Graph Paper Architect, thanks for hanging anyway. I don't know exactly, Michael. I heard January, February. So, in there somewhere. In there somewhere. We have the internet. Let's see. Under the Dragon Stramps release date. All right. Oh, that's from Fortune, and they want me to subscribe. I can go to the USPS and read the release there. 20, Paint of 20 Stamps features 10 different designs. I like characters, creatures, and encounters. Greg Breeding, an art director for USPS, designed the stamps and paint with existing illustrations. It doesn't say. Let me see. Dates and locations. Doesn't say. I'll just have to check out there the next time I get up to the post office. Dice Tales, it's here. I'll put it in the chat again. Let me see here. How are we looking on those subs? Oh, we slipped down a little, 5118. Well, I'm sure it'll buoy back up. I'm sure. I'm certain after that video I'm going to release tomorrow, I'll have plenty of subscribers leave. But whatever. I'm not going to keep quiet on it. I'm not going to keep quiet on it. I'm really... Oh, Praxis on the ball. See, that's what I love about my channel is you guys are so on top of things. I have the smartest audience. I may not have the biggest audience. I have the smartest audience. Praxis says, I emailed Greg Breeding and the schedule for releasing is TBA. Thank you, Praxis. I'm doing a video tomorrow, Dungeon Delvers. I'm gonna hold forth on something that has greatly irritated me. I think the person that did it is an abject coward. And I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to explain what was done. That is awesome, Praxis. I love to hear that. I had a D+ in history because I thought Germany lost World War II because Italy made tanks that couldn't turn left. I hope the rest of the audience makes up for that. Oh, that's funny. Nope. It's going to be laser focused. And it's not going to be for the reasons that you guys. Well, maybe it is. I'm not going to tease anymore about it because I don't want to get started on it because I'm having a good time in hanging out. I mean, I don't think we've had fewer than 30 people tuned in for like the last 90 minutes. Darth Brooks, hello. And I just want to enjoy this. I just want to bask in this awesomeness. Although I will say, after my Wizards of the Coasts videos started dropping last January, there were a couple of nights there after some of the spicier videos dropped. 60 people watching live. So, holy crap. Good night, Magnificent Devil. Good night, Dungeon Minister. Tonight, I don't have a drink tonight. If that was directed at me, James, I don't have a drink tonight. I should have gotten myself a libation. David, RPG Marketplace. I'm not logged into Facebook on this machine, and I honestly don't remember my password. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to jerk you around. I literally, I don't. It's a closed group. It's a private group. And Wave, it is a joke. The Italians were exceptionally valiant in battle. During one of the many retreats by the Axis forces through Russia, at the Battle of Stalingrad, when they were being pushed back, the Italians in their dinky little tankettes, you guys have seen the footage. They rolled out there and they did battle with T-34s, knowing they were going to get wiped the F out. Now, if you want to talk about the French, I'm just kidding about that. We're not going to talk about any of that. I'm going to talk about any of that. Tankettes are hilarious. Tankettes are... the Poles had one, and this is an awesome story. There was a Polish tankette commander who took down, like, in a single day, he took down some Panzer IIIs, which compared to the tank he had were gargantuan. It's like, think Sherman versus Tiger II, or M3 Lee versus Panther level of disparity. There's a little 20 millimeter gun, like picture in your head a sports car, like a 2-person sports car, a coupe, except the whole thing is armored, and the person in the passenger seat has a 20 millimeter anti-tank rifle, which sounds big, but it's a bullet about that big around that's got to punch through an armor plate about that thick. And they would go, hey, the Fant Force books are awesome, Jack. The Fant Force books are fantastic. But anyway, so the Poles had some of these. They were knocking German tanks out. Flank shots, granted. But I mean, you're zipping around there at 30 or 40 miles an hour when the average tank is not going much faster than 12 or 13. Yeah, you can really get in position. And that 20 millimeter gun in its little ball sponse in there, that thing's got a clip. It's got a magazine. You're just bang, 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 as fast as you can pull the trigger and lay the gun back on the target. The problem, Dice Tales, was they didn't have enough. I mean, given enough time, the Japanese had a tank they were getting ready to build to defend the home islands with that they couldn't get off the drawing board. They made 2 of them. One of them got thrown in a lake, or both of them got thrown in a lake to keep them away from the Americans. The Americans hauled one out, brought it home. It was eventually scrapped. And there are Japanese archaeological and historical companies that still go out and look for the other one, and they haven't found it yet. Probably never will. Tankettes. Yeah. Heck yeah, man. But man, we have meandered. You know what I wish I really wish I still could find a set of Tractics. I had a set of Tractics and I had to sell it so I could have Christmas for my kids one year. And thank you, Ben Poir. I really appreciate it. That was awesome of you to buy that set off of me. That was very decent of you, brother. But honestly, if I found one today, I would cherish it so much. It's a neat little game. It's a neat little game. Yes, Tractics was a it was like a squad level micro armor game that TSR put out in 75. Had very cool illustrations in it. Kind of complex rules. The thing I liked about it was, unlike a lot of war games at the time, like, I used to hang around with some miniature war gamers back in the early 2000s. And when they said modern conflicts, I always thought that, yeah, cool. So you guys have, like, you got a game with Abrams and, anti-tank missiles and stuff like that. What they mean by modern is Boer War. Yeah. Yeah. That's modern to them. ACW and back was their meat and drink. And that just like, I can't with that. But Tractics was not afraid to say, yeah, T-55s versus M48s and M47s. Although the one funny thing that I thought was they had the Sheridan statted out, and I've talked about this before. They had the Sheridan statted out, and if you don't know what the Sheridan is, the M551, it was the Army's attempt to have a lightweight, airdroppable tank capable of defending airborne troops against Soviet armor. And they came up with this genius idea that the turret was going to be all... Yes, I do. I watch him. I saw that one, Kabuki. I saw him eat the meat porridge from the Boer War. I did see that. Yep, he scraped it into flakes and boiled it per the instructions on the package and was like, yeah, this is awful. But he ate it all. But you know what? The only thing he's ever gotten sick from is a 2017 Chinese People's Liberation Air Force daily ration. He was eating what he thought were green vegetables and rice. It was spoiled pork, and it made him violently ill. But anyway, so Tractics. Tractics had the Sheridan in it. Sheridan was an attempt by the U.S. Military to have an ultra high-tech light tank that was designed in the 50s and put to service in the 60s. And as we say in the South, bless their hearts, they tried so hard to make that thing work. And the Russians had figured out how to fire an anti-tank missile out of a main gun. And the U.S. Army was like, well, we'll do that. We'll have gun launchers too. And we just could not and don't bother now making the concept work. Well, the thing's 152 millimeters in diameter. That's about that big a round. And it fired two kinds of rounds. It fired many kinds of rounds, but it fired like a conventional cannon round. But it also fired the Shillelagh anti-tank guided missile. Now, for a whole bunch of reasons, that system didn't work. Primarily because the whole tank was made of aluminum with steel applique plates on it, and it was lightweight. And when a 152 millimeter snub artillery piece goes off, it tends to make your tank do that when it's made out of aluminum. And when it would do that and then land, all of the fancy tube electronic computer systems in the turret would stop working. And other than the machine guns, you were basically just a pillbox waiting for an RPG to find you. Yes, exactly, Dice Tales. 30 years too early for the U.S. Like I said, the Russians got the damn things working pretty early on, and they still use them. Although it's not that great for reasons that we can discuss some other time. Anyway, also, at that time, the U.S. had a artillery branch that fired. They had a 155 millimeter. Understand that difference. 3 millimeters means the bullet doesn't go in. They had 155 millimeter artillery, both towed and self-propelled, the Paladin, the M109. They could fire a nuclear shell. Pretty intense. In the late 1960s, early 1970s. TSR said, all right. Somebody must have gotten their wires crossed, because you could have that as a loadout in the Sheridan. You could have a Sheridan firing a nuclear shell in Tractics. I just think that's hilarious. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of stuff I can fault the Russians for militarily. Pretty much almost everything. But the two things, there's a nuclear cannon on a hill about 50. It's been nice knowing you, James. The two things that they got dead right was airdropping armor and gun-launched missiles. And that's just something that we could never do. Their airdropped armor is actually kind of badass. These massive parachutes and the palletized system that they roll them out the back of the Antonov aircraft with, they have rockets arranged around them. Underneath is a radar altimeter. At a certain height above the ground, with the parachutes going, the rockets fire to soft land their BMD 1s, 2s, and 3s, which are the airborne version of the BMP 1, 2, and 3. And other airdroppable. They fire rockets, and just before they hit the ground, the rockets eject away and they boom. Yes, that was the I can't remember the designation, but it was called the SADM, small atomic demolition munition. You could set it for up to 24 hours. The troops who were trained to use it were told oh yeah, no, I knew all about the TLAM having nuclear capability, but no, the small atomic demolition munition would be used to blow up bridges and dams and other high value targets and that sort of thing. There was a fail-safe glass pane that you would put your 45 against and pull the trigger, and it would automatically punch a manual plunger, which would set off the explosives and set the thing off. So, one person would have to unalive themselves to trigger the thing if you landed and the timer mechanism was broken or wouldn't set properly. And the guys who talked about carrying this thing, they knew it was a one-way trip. They were like, yeah, it just, no. Yeah, we can set the timer for 24 hours. Somebody's going to find the thing. Anyway. Yeah, the Dam Busters was pretty awesome. Guys, I've been going for 2 hours tonight, and I was literally just going to come in and say I'm sorry for not doing a full show. This show started yesterday here on the East Coast of the United States, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Listen, thanks for hanging out with me. You guys were awesome. We had a lot of fun tonight. Like I said, we just tickled 40 watching, but we never dropped down below 30 for most of the show. Thank you all very, very much for hanging out. I'm going to be here tomorrow-ish. I'm going to have to keep you guys up on what's going on tomorrow because there are other holiday-related things happening. Thank you, everybody, again for hanging out tonight. If you haven't already, please do click the subscribe button. It's exceptionally helpful. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. We've got some stuff coming out tomorrow. And yeah, just be good to each other. But whatever you do keep your eyes peeled and watch out for the owl bear. Good night.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to